Welcome, one and all, to the Friday, November 12th edition of the Signals from Mars live stream. I'm your host, Victor, and this week we have the return of the Ask the Host segment. Yes. So basically, I haven't had time to settle on a host or a guest host or a guest for that matter. So I said, why not? Let's try guest host. Worked well the last time. And Jeremy Weltman concurred. He said, this was really popular last time, and I'm really looking forward to another one. So here we go. I had a lot of fun the last time. Got a bunch of different questions here, and hopefully other people will join, ask a bunch of others as well. We shall see. So, not sure why this just started recording all of a sudden. And maybe I hit something. Who knows? I have a bunch of questions and I would like to have them answered. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. Don't know if anyone got to check out the new releases post I made today. Was later than usual. Again, real busy this week. I also posted the Return to Earth episode with Ron Scalzo and Chris Penny of the band Return to Earth from a few weeks back. Was a lot of fun. We'll have the episode with Brad Dahl up shortly, hopefully within the next few days. If not this weekend, definitely by Monday. And that shouldn't have any issues with the sound because we know of Brad's bubbly, velvety voice. So, hello, Jeremy. How are you today? I feel like I'm back on safe grounds here, man. The Fireside stuff, like with the trivia stuff on Twitch, right off the bat, I saw that things were working. With Fireside, I'm not totally convinced yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah. But I feel like I'm kind of back home here. And this is, the regular live stream always seems to work for me. You guys are always great. And just to remind you guys that on the 26th, we will be, Jeremy is saying that he lost Twitch halfway through. I don't know if that was on me, if that was Twitch, but things were working really buggy. I'm kind of peeved right now. I got to talk to my ISP and figure out what the hell's going on. A lot of promises and very little doing. So anyway, yeah. Hello, Rob Rowe. Thanks for joining here. I know that you were in Fireside as well before, but anyway, so the 26th will be the patron get together where we're going to discuss Scorpions. And there have been a few other kind of questions that have come up along the way about different things to do. And I'm throwing this out there to the people that are watching this live and to people that will maybe listen to this after. But I may do more than one Patreon-centric episode in December. It's kind of an end of the year thank you to you guys. We may talk about I don't know if I jumped on camera, but this bag from a tripod that I just bought just like flew off of this chair onto the floor and it scared the shit out of me. But anyway. Hello, Jose. Hope you and Paula and the kids are doing well. Anyway, so the idea is that in December there will be more than one patron episode if people are available. I'm throwing this out there. Maybe do favorite albums of the year to talk about. Also, Jerry from Long Island had some ideas about talking about specific years in music. That may be something worth doing as well. And Jeremy, I believe you suggested something this week as well. If you want to refresh my memory, I'll bring that up as well. But yeah, it may be cool to kind of do an end of the year thing with with people that can come on board, and we could talk about all of these different things. And we may do that if not through the Mars Attacks Radio on Anchor and Spotify. But there you go. Anyway, so let's get on with the questions here. So Jeremy was the first one. So we're going to go in the order that we received these questions. Number one, what are your top 3 albums of the year so far? State of music industry, but it's not very Christmassy. Yeah, when it gets to December, there's very few things to really check out music wise. Usually greatest hits. That's why that's why I talked up the album by Manimal, which I think a lot of you guys will enjoy when that drops next month. But let me see here. Top 3 albums. I mean, the Witherfall album comes to mind right away. I listened to the Sumo Psycho album a ton as well. Let me see here. What else I may have listened to along the way. Mentioned the Witherfall, the Quill. I listened to that quite a bit. The Warning EP. I've listened to stuff off of that quite a bit. Some stuff off of the KK's Priest that I really like. There's other stuff that it's just kind of boring and long, and I understand why he wanted to do Nostradamus, because I guess a lot of that material was his. But yeah, I have to go back and look at some of this stuff and try to figure it out, because I'll talk about my favorites for the end of the year. I like the Royal Blood album, of course. Wrong playlist here. Going into 2021. All right. Let's see. Evanescence album wasn't bad. That has a bunch of cool stuff. The End Machine wasn't bad. Tetrarch album I like as well. Royal Blood, I think, except for the closing track, I like everything off of that. Not a ballad guy, and the album ends off with a ballad. Interloper album had some cool stuff on it. Some of the new Halloween was all right. Oh, the Life Project, that was pretty cool. The Fear Factory was cool. Light the Torch was cool. Gary Newman's Intruder. Heavy Water I liked as well. The Ugly Kings album I like quite a bit. It has a lot of cool stuff on it. New Ginger I liked. The Wild Hearts has some cool stuff on it as well. Spirit Box, Edge of Paradise. So I'm giving you more than 3 here. The Mammoth WVH has some cool stuff on it. The Bronx, I have to give it a better listen to. I've got some songs in here. Seems like every time that I try to listen to it, something comes up. I like the Lucid album as well. Bloody Hammers, which came out this year. Mastodon, like a bunch of that new Limp Bizkit as well. So yes, Brad. You didn't miss much on my first question here. Top 3 albums of the year kind of turned into, yeah, as Jeremy's saying, the top 50, because I haven't really narrowed it down yet. I've said a bunch of different things. So top 1,000. There you go. Let's see. What are my top 5 interviews this year so far and why? John Bush, number 1. I mean, I can tell you that right now. That was beyond great. Love talking to John Bush. He is, I mean, my favorite interview of all time. So anytime that I get to speak to him again is just beyond awesome. I like the Manimal interview from a few weeks back. Ryan J. Downey was really informative, I thought. Nicholas from the Ugly Kings was cool. Todd Severn from Ripple was really good. Joey Vera from Armored Saint was really good. Brittany from Unleash the Archers. Josh Toomey, Bob Nalbandian. Thought Sumo Psycho was cool. Thought Diamond Rowe from Tetrarch was cool. Tommy Clufetis was all right. All right. Evo from Arion was cool. Lucas from Void Vader. Andrew from Metal Assault. Keefe from Ghost Cult. Joel Gostin. Eric Kluber and Winterfall, you know, that it's hard to pick just again, top 50. Brad stuff is always fun. Monty Pittman was fun. Drew Fortier was on a million times as well. He was fun. Phil Rind, who I interviewed last year, was fun too. There's a lot of cool stuff. And you know, the episodes that I did with you guys were a lot of fun. I have to say that if it wasn't for this live stream, I wouldn't be back podcasting the way that I was in the past, because you guys have done so much to reinvigorate me with this. You know, for a long time, I'll say this, and I mentioned this too. I had a long discussion last week with Mark about podcasting and where things stand currently, and all the various things that I'm doing with Twitch and with Fireside and this and that. And you know, it sucks when you've got this great interview and you think, wow, people are going to love this. And it doesn't go beyond the usual people that listen to it. And that's, you know, it's cool. I love my diehard base, but it sucks when like a platform like a Blabbermouth or a Brave Words doesn't do jack with some of these interviews. And then you see that they're posting other people's stuff. Or, for example, when I'm posting things and there are other shows that are getting 200 something likes for something that they post, and I'm getting, you know, just you guys, you know. And again, it's not to say that you guys suck or anything like that. I appreciate anyone that likes or shares my stuff, but it kind of sucks when you're doing this and there's no recognition to it. So that's, I mean, hope I'm not coming off wrong by saying this, because I know that you guys always go out of your ways to support stuff. And, you know, I can't thank you guys enough. And I can't thank everyone enough that checks this out. It just, again, it sucks. Mark posts something and 50 likes instantly. It's like, why can't I get that? At this point. But it is what it is. So anyway, let's see. If you could bring back only one person from rock metal that has died to play a gig, who would it be? Oh, this is difficult. Because I could easily say 4 or 5 people. Again, top 50. Brad saying I really like the One Void Vader album. I have got that because of your interview. Cool. They're great guys. Eric I think Eric, John Bush, and Joey Vera have been on my show the most out of anyone, out of any other guests. Well, outside of Brad Dahl, of course. But not everyone could be as vivacious and have as a voluptuous voice as Brad Dahl does. So he is our Dr. Poison. He's the world's Dr. Poison. Anyway. If I could bring one person back, oh man. If I could all right. So I could easily say John Bonham. I could easily say Eric Carr. I could easily say Cozy Powell. If I could see, if I had a time machine and I could go back, this is difficult because if I could go back with a time machine and see Kiss on that Creatures of the Night tour, Randy Rhoads with Ozzy Osbourne. That to me would be huge. Cozy Powell with MSG, with Gary Barden on vocals, with Chris, damn it, I don't remember his name. Chris Glenn on bass, Paul Raymond on keys and rhythm guitar. Man, do I love that second Michael Schenker album. Those first 2 Michael Schenker albums, just so cool. I know Simon Phillips plays on the first one, but hearing them do those songs live at Budokan with Cozy playing, holy cow, man. Just such a phenomenal lineup. Sing Children of the Sea. Dio for you. Oh, okay, fine. I got to see Dio on his last tour, but yeah, that's a huge loss. But here's my thing. Time machine. If I could go back in time, Eddie Van Halen playing with David Lee Roth at his peak. As much as people say Pantera or Zeppelin, I think for me, it would have to either be Ozzy with Randy Rhoads, because there's so little footage out there as well, or Eddie Van Halen with David Lee Roth in their heyday, anywhere between the first album and Fair Warning. Lemmy's another good one. I haven't thought, I didn't get to see any of these people live. Cozy Powell, here's another thing. I got to see Michael Schenker live once with Gary Barden. Chris Glenn was on bass, but the drummer was Chris Slade, who's best known for The Firm and for AC/DC. And as a kid that grew up playing a lot of those parts, Attack of the Mad Axe Man, and, there's certain things with the hi-hat, and there are certain fills and things. Chris Slade butchered those songs, and I told my wife, I need to walk away. I can't listen to this in this fashion. He's killing these songs. I would love to get up there and play these songs the way that they were, or at least close to what they were originally played like or recorded. Oh, it broke my heart. Bon Scott, another great one. I'm sure my brother would say Bon Scott. But before Eddie passing away, it would have been Randy Rhoads easily, I think. Now that Eddie has passed away, Yeah, maybe I'd still say Randy because there's so much footage of Eddie Van Halen. So anyway, for generally speaking, what do you think about the health of rock and metal industry, given all the issues concerning COVID affecting concerts, vinyl issues, an aging supporter base, rising prices of concerts and music to purchase, and the fact that many smaller bands are only breaking even on the road? Um. Oh, okay, this is what you said, Jeremy. This is what I saw. So Jeremy would even see Elvis, the pelvis, too dangerous for the masses. Living color there. Um, Here's the thing. I've been thinking about this since I saw that you wrote this the other day. I've been saying this for years. I think hard rock and metal is gonna become what blues and what Motown music has become before it. I think stuff like this, like live streaming, is gonna help out a lot because it will give relevance to bands that ultimately wouldn't have been relevant. I look at something like what Matt Hafey from Trivium is doing, and he's making a shit ton of money on Twitch. He's getting thousands of views per day, and he's streaming all hours of the day. He's playing his music. He's doing all types of different things. Creative people that are streaming or that are on Patreon will be able to continue to keep going, I think. I think bands that engage with their audience, younger bands, it's the metal dentist, everyone. Gabriel Ruiz in the house. Gabriel Ruiz. What do the five fingers say to the face? Slap. Anyway, I think younger bands may actually have a better chance of surviving all of this than some of the legacy bands that haven't done crap to do anything. You know, I look at what some bands have done. Look at a band like Scorpions. These last few months, they've been hitting people with different snippets and different things of what they've been doing with their new album. But so many others just haven't done anything. You know, haven't focused on writing music, haven't focused on doing anything. And I think this kind of mentality of people will just come, people will just listen. For some bands, that's the case. The diehards will continue to come back. But I think for a lot of people are going to say, why am I wasting my time with this band if they don't want to do anything for me? That's my angle on all of this stuff. You know, there's somebody I interviewed this year. I joined her Patreon in order to interview her, basically. And I pitched a bunch of ideas with her after she does guitar lessons. I talked to her about doing an episode on teaching guitar and talking to someone between patients. Oh wow. Cool. So I pitched an idea of seeing if she would come on and talk with my old guitar teacher, who's the guitarist of Angelus Apatrida. He was down with it, but she didn't even bother getting back to me. And it's one of these things where, you're paying all this money to people and they're doing a monthly post. And it's like, why the fuck am I supporting you? Why am I paying you good money when I could spend it on something else that kind of fulfills me more? But I don't know. So, and Gabriel, I don't know if you could see this if you're on your phone or not. Right over my shoulder here, not here. Whoops, that's my hair. Over here is something that Gabriel gave me years ago. People may find it offensive, but can you see it? Cigar in mouth. Anyway. All right. So yeah. So I do think that bands that continue to stay engaged will stay alive. We'll never see what we saw in the 80s again. Music in general is down. It isn't just hard rock. Everything that's happening, music has become trivialized for a lot of people. And that's because we have, the Planet Rocks in the UK. We have Rock FM here in Spain. We have not Comcast, but iHeartRadio in the US, where you're hearing the same songs day after day, hour after hour. It's killed music for a lot of people because they've beaten certain songs into the ground. And where I always say this, when I used to work, we'd listen to the radio. There's a radio station out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And things were they were still like breaking newer music from time to time. Eddie Trunk was breaking new music every Friday nights. And it would be one of these things where, I can't wait to see if they're going to play the new single from so-and-so. I remember hearing Straight Out of Line by Godsmack, seeing it on MTV in the middle of the night, hearing Eddie Trunk, I believe, play it. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I can't wait till they play this song. When you hear it, you're going to love it. I remember telling my boss. And they started to play it, and I went apeshit. And I'm like, this is the song. Everyone be quiet. Let's turn it up. It went from that to, damn, it's this song again? Turn that shit down. I can't stand listening to this song again. We talked about the Fleetwood Mac song that was covered by Deep Purple this week. I can't stand that song because this station played it every day. Every day with fooling everyone with the no repeat work day. Oh, well, let's go to the all request lunch hour. The all request lunch hour was the interns calling in. Yeah, could you play that shitty Fleetwood Mac song that you play every day? I know I heard it 2 hours ago, but could you play it for me again now? I'd love to hear it now. It's like, no. So we stopped listening to the radio. We would listen to cassettes and CDs, and we said, screw the rest of this crap. So, let's see. Jeremy, what are you saying? There seem to be more bands than ever making music, but I wonder how much they sell. Probably very little, to be honest with you. There isn't there isn't a lot of people, and this is the whole thing. Todd from Ripple opened my eyes up to a lot of stuff, and he brought up a good point where people bitch about Spotify and all the other streaming services. But who's getting rich off of FM radio play? Who's getting rich off of Sirius radio play? Who's getting rich off of any of these things? Labels are. Bands that have structured their contracts correctly are. But no one is making a ton of money. So for people to say, oh, that dastardly Spotify only sent me this check. You have Baby I Love Your Way, Peter Frampton, a guy who's gotten ripped off like 40 times throughout his career because he never bothered to check on the economic side of things. He's continuously gotten ripped off. He's complaining about only making 2 cents for Baby I Love Your Way. But who owns the rights to the songs? A lot of these people have accepted lump sums of music or lump sums of money for their music. And then they think that, no, Stevie Nicks will for sure never be on here. A, above my pay grade, and B, she disrespected Mr. Brad Dahl, and C, never cared about her for her music. So there you go. Jose, I listen to a lot of local radio stations. They don't always play music I enjoy, but they play different stuff than commercial stations. Yeah, I get that. I wish that still existed all over the country. But there's one company that owns the majority of stations. They've flipped a lot of stations to become just all talk, or they've flipped, sports stations to FM. Look in New York, Hot 97, if I'm not mistaken or not. Hot 97. What was the other station that was that was what ESPN is now? They were similar to that, but gone. So, listen to people that are starting as DJs is also fun. It's cool to listen to the figuring things out. I agree with you. Seton Hall's station, WSIU, is always great. I tune in every now and then because I can also listen on the Amazon devices throughout the house. So that's always cool. But let's see. All right, moving on. Jeremy, you teased me about not being able to pick one thing and picking 50 or 1,000, but Jeremy sent me 1,000 questions. Oh, cool. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for submitting those great questions, Jeremy. It is always appreciated when you chime in. Jerry from Long Island, favorite Van Halen album? Comes down to two. Van Halen 2. That's why I did the I did my classic albums on Van Halen 2. I think it's an album that's underappreciated. To me, that and Fair Warning are head and shoulders above the rest. I love the first album, but I've heard those songs so much that I sometimes just can't stomach listening to them more than once a year. 1984 is all right. All right. My Napoleon Dynamite impersonation there. I liked the songs that weren't the singles because they weren't killed for me. I got a new pair of speakers here for my work area, and I played I'll Wait because I knew that the keyboards were going to sound great on that. But yeah, I would say Van Halen 2, Light Up the Sky, Dead or Alive, Somebody Get Me a Doctor. Light Up the Sky is just so great. Just love that song. So there you go. Mike Jones, what was your major in college and where did you go? Where did I go? I went to go work with my father. All right. So I went to college for all the wrong reasons. I went for computer-aided drafting and got involved in a college radio station. I should have gone into telecommunications after that because it would have been up my alley. What scared me was the journalism part of things. I couldn't write to save my life back then. I even had to take an English class when I went to County College of Morris in Randolph, New Jersey, where Chris Penny from Return to Earth is from. Next town over where I used to live. Great community college. But again, I went for computer-aided drafting. The problem was I learned AutoCAD, in the 90s, learned on a computer that was from the late 70s. So we couldn't run the latest version of AutoCAD. And when I got to the drafting course in college, we were learning on something that was proprietary to HP, which we had to learn everything over again. And at the time, the industry was splitting between AutoCAD and Intragraph. I forget the name of their program. But we were learning this other fakakta thing. And I was like, what am I doing here? Spending way too much time at the radio station. I decided to go into the mechanical engineering program and failed out of college. That's there were certain concepts I couldn't wrap my head around. I did it because I thought it was what I should do instead of pursuing what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into sound engineering, but the conversation back home was, oh, you'll never make any money off of that. You need to find a career where you're going to make money. So, bounced out of community college, went to work, construction, went back to community college, tried to get to complete stuff. I just couldn't. I wasn't into it. And by that point, my GPA was just so crappy that, I got kicked out again because of my grades. And I should have gone back for something to do with, surrounding, radio or sound design or sound editing or stuff like that. That's where my passion was. But it's something why I think with my kids, I'm very open to their ideas and their dreams, and want to make sure that they follow what they want in their lives. I'll always remember I was at a beach here in Spain with my aunt and uncle, and I was, I'm assuming that my parents said, "Oh, please speak to him, talk him out of doing what he wants to do." And I got this whole, "Oh, you don't want to be a musician. There, all it is in drugs and alcohol, and that's a dead end for you, and blah blah blah." And I got this whole spiel. Well, we're from a proud family, and you should be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. And all these years later, I always think of that conversation, and I think, you are none of these. The fuck are you telling me to do this for? So, Mike Jones, sorry for bringing the show down, but I'm being honest. I'm trying to be as honest as possible. What's my most memorable concert? There are a few, to shock you people. I don't know. I can think of concerts for the wrong reasons, for the right reasons. Oh, Brad, you only got the drugs part. Okay, yeah, I got. Oh my God. Well, because I realize what why they said that, of course, because starting to interview bands and stuff, you get some of that stuff. And I realized that being a musician, a professional musician, is hard. It's not an easy thing. So I get that my folks are looking out for my best interest. I will say that I'm also at fault for holding stupid grudges with that, where I should have found, like, all these years later, getting into web design and getting into audio editing and stuff like that due to podcasting. I've always feel like I've been a creative person, so it gives me that kind of creative outlet that I always had with music. And that's what turns me on to doing stuff and learning new things and dabbling with different things regarding web design. And I know that a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you're wasting your time with this or that." No, I want to learn. I want to see how I can apply what I'm applying to the podcast with other people's stuff. So when I see a project where someone says, "Oh, I need to have this, this, and this done," I can say, "Well, oh, I can transcribe. Oh, I can edit your podcast. Oh, yeah, I can do your social media content as well." So this all happened due to the podcast. But anyway, let's see. So Mike also asks, the most memorable concert? Seeing Ace Frehley at the Viper Room in front of 200 people is a big one. Seeing Dio on his last tour was beyond awesome. Seeing 9 Inch Nails, who always puts on a great show. That's one. Seeing Iron Maiden with Halford and Queensryche, that's another one. I will say this. Seeing Faith No More live was like a religious experience for me. They'd gotten back together, and this is how smart Mike Patton is. The World Cup was happening. Spain was close to getting to the finals. And Mike Patton started talking to the crowd about different parts of the game or different games and stuff. And I was like, holy cow, he's speaking to us. He knows about us. That was awesome. Seeing Deftones the next day. I think it was the next day. Yeah, because it was Rammstein, I think, who closed that next day. Seeing Deftones was beyond ridiculous, too. I didn't expect anything from them, and it was really good. Evanescence was another band that was better than I expected. Offspring, another band that was better than I expected. Their vocals have always been shaky live, but they came out and they were great. So if I had to settle for one, possibly 9 Inch Nails, just because it's such a spectacle and I love their music so much. So there you go. Live albums or studio albums? Okay, with everything going on this week, mostly with my kids and different things with school and different things with sports, trying out my new speakers. I turned on Kiss Alive 2 for the first time in maybe a year. I got my speakers queued up right the way that I wanted to hear them. And I usually put on iTunes and I go through different playlists and I'll play songs from each playlist. And I played King of the Nighttime World and I just let it go. And I just started singing along to it. This is why I say that the new Armored Saint album reminds me of Alive 2, Strangers in the Night, Worldwide Live by Scorpions, Live After Death by Iron Maiden, Live at Budokan by Michael Schenker. There's a bunch of others. I love those albums. The problem is most live albums are just bands mailing shit in. So that's why I would say studio album for the most part. There are some live albums that are just so energetic, so raw, and I don't care if they weren't recorded in front of a real audience or they were redubbed or this, that, or the other thing. It's just the raw awesomeness of some of this stuff and just singing along to it. It's just so cool to me. So, but I'll side with studio albums. All right, so some of the stuff here. So Brad says, finding your place on this planet is not easy. It's the best thing you can hope for your children. Absolutely. And I always say this because I've done a lot of stupid things, had a failed marriage. I didn't find my place in the world until I was in my late 20s, to be quite honest. It took me moving overseas to realize a lot of different things that I was taking for granted, a lot of different things where I wasn't in the right headspace. And that's why music has always been so important to me, because it's helped me through a lot of hard times. It's funny because I remember hearing from some people that they couldn't relate to that because things were so easy to them for so long. And that's awesome. That's awesome that since you're a kid, you know what you're going to do. Your head is in the right spot to study for that stuff. But there's a lot of situations that I got into with relationships and different things where I didn't focus on what I should have. And it's my fault. You know, I can't place the blame on anyone else but myself. But I try every day. I try as hard as I can, and I try with my kids. I suck at a lot of things, but I try to be the best father to my kids that I can be. So there you go. I'm getting emotional. But anyway, let's move on to Dr. Poison's question here. Since bands we like are not getting younger, which 5 bands would you like to see one more time before it calls it quits? Doesn't have to be metal. Let's see. I've never seen Depeche Mode live. Always wanted to see them. They're in my top 5 favorite bands of all time. I'd like to see U2, who I've never seen live. Also, top 5 favorite for me, although the last few things they've released has really been disappointing to me. I'd love to see Kiss with my kids just so they could experience that. Would love to see Ozzy, who I've never seen live. What other bands? I've seen Priest. I've seen Maiden. I've seen Queensryche. Seen Queens of the Stone Age. Seen Fear Factory a bunch. Seen Motley Crue a bunch. Let me see. Would love to see Armored Saint live. I've never seen them live. Would love. No, I've seen Anthrax with John Bush. I've seen Anthrax with John Bush. Was awesome. Saw Anthrax with Joey Belladonna. Sucked. Saw them with Dan Nelson. Was good. Who else? Have never seen Duran Duran. Would love to see them. I'm naming a lot of bands that aren't exactly hard rock or metal because I've seen a lot of the bands that I've loved to see within the genre live already. Would have loved to have seen Fastway back in the day. Would have loved to have seen Van Halen. Never got to see them. Let me think. Black Sabbath never got to see in any formation. Got to see Dio. Got to see Saxon a bunch. Got to see Fear Factory a bunch. Got to see Ghost early on. Got to see Clutch, Gojira a few times. Got to see the Brothers Cavalera, which is probably the last big, quote unquote, big show I've seen. Love to see Life of Agony, who I've never seen live. Let's see. So I think I've gone beyond 5 there as usual, Brad. Royal Blood I've never seen live. Would love to see them live. Would love to be able to get my kids to see Bad Religion and Suicidal Tendencies next spring, but it's like 200 something bucks for the 4 of us. So we'll see. Have to either get more patrons or work on some more projects. Let's see. What is your favorite Rush album? Asking for Johan. Favorite Rush album is Snakes and Arrows. Absolutely love that album. So many good tracks on it. So, yeah, let's see Armored Saint together. That would be awesome. Well, let's not get carried away, Brad. You do a lot. If you want to up your post your pledge on Patreon, you're more than welcome to do so. But I realize that you've got other things you can spend your money on. So I do appreciate all the support that you guys give me, and hope you guys continue to enjoy what I offer. So there you go. Favorite songs. Well, that's for Johan, I'm assuming. as if the doll household doesn't and she says you need another bass. You'll never win the lottery, Brad. You already did with your wife. Yes. There you go. Johan says, have a good one tonight, boys. I have an early meeting tomorrow, so I have to sleep tonight. Let's see. My question is, which is the Misfits, or why is the Misfits better with Michael Graves? I love all eras of the Misfits. I will say this. I know that a lot of people will start, hey, that's scab Misfits and all this stuff. If you're closed-minded and don't want to give bands a certain shot, look, I don't like Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. It's my prerogative. You don't have to agree with me. No, Johan is actually running for office in Sweden. So he's on the campaign trail. But so I love all airs of the Misfits. Love Glenn Danzig singing, love Michael Graves singing, and even love Devil's Reign, which has Jerry Only singing, which they were a three-piece at the time with Des Cadena from Black Flag. I'd vote for Johan too. I'd vote for Jeremy's wife as well, who's also in public office. So there you go. But I was too young to appreciate the Misfits initially. I know a lot of my friends got them before I did, but I got into the Grave stuff before I got into the Danzig stuff because of WSOU, which I mentioned the last time. Yeah, he's a moderate until they see his metal collection. There you go. So I got into Graves first. There's a lot more melodies that are similar to hard rock and metal type things with Graves in the band. With Danzig, a lot of the stuff is geared more towards like 50s type. There's a lot of like 50s B movie horror themes in what Misfits do. So even with Graves, they followed that stuff. You see like a song like Pumpkinhead or Controlling Eye or even Lost in Space. This is all sci-fi and horror theme stuff. But I got into the Graves era first. Then I went back, got into the Danzig era, and I ended up playing in a Misfits tribute band, which because of COVID, we weren't able to play a show we were supposed to play last year. But I'd started rehearsing for that. And recently I started, playing here and there, playing some of the songs from that because I have most of those songs memorized. So it's always fun to go back and play them. But Brad says, need Misfits 101. Give me 5 songs I should check out. Dig Up Her Bones, absolutely. Scream's a cool one as well. Astro Zombies is awesome. Mars Attacks is a cool one, but isn't one of my favorites, but it did help me name this show. Bullet is a cool one as well. So this is the type of macabre humor that they have. Bullet is based on the John F. Kennedy assassination. So there you go. Let's see. Let us open it up to the floor. Are there any live questions that you guys would like me to answer? Because these are the questions that I got via Patreon. So for that, I'd like to open the floor and ask if you guys want to ask me anything. If you guys have asked anything before, if anything has come up today or anything else that maybe you didn't ask on Patreon or haven't asked here, you can go ahead and do so. And I don't know if you guys, there were some of you guys that got to check out the Fireside stuff earlier today. Brad, I don't know if you noticed, but the guitar that I had behind me looked similar, but was a different color. Yeah, so Jose asks, as shows start to come back in Spain, are there any shows you are planning to attend? The first one tentatively is Suicidal Tendencies with Bad Religion and a bunch of other bands in Bilbao at the Beck, the Bilbao Expo Center. We actually got to see WWE there years ago. Iron Maiden used it before a tour. And they used it before several tours to try stuff out. And it was they only did shows to like 8,000 people there. So the shows would sell out quick. They would go into the expo center, set up their stage, rehearse for a week, 2 weeks, and then after that they would do the show there, and then kick off their tour. Let's see. He's taking the boys to Bad Religion. I thought you wrote Brad Religion. Well, Bad Religion is actually most of their lyrics. Although I believe they're atheists, most of the lyrics that I relate to from the band are a lot of their political lyrics, because they center more on political and sociological issues more so than religious stuff. Yeah, their lyrics do have some religious connotations, more focused towards the Catholic religion more than anything. But like any band, there are some things I agree with, there are other things that I don't agree with, and I kind of focus on what I do agree with. So is new Scorpions album going to blow our minds? I hope so. Peacemaker sounded cool, and me and Brad talked about this, how much we enjoyed Unbreakable and Humanity Hour Zero. Both great albums. And then everything they've released since, Sting of the Tail and Not Black Enough, or whatever the hell that was called. Those two albums sucked, in my opinion. We're going to recreate, Love It for Sting. You look at what Van Halen did with A Different Kind of Truth, where they took songs that were from the 70s and tried to modernize them instead of trying to sound like they were 70s songs. So Scorpions took a bunch of demos and tried to make them sound like Love It First Sting, Love It Second Sting, or Love It Millionth Sting. It just didn't work for me. The choruses were like bad and cheesy, and the songs just weren't there. Sometimes songs don't make it on albums because they're just not good enough. Other times they're hidden gems, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to the Scorpions album. If Peacemaker's any sign, I think it'll be good. I just hope it doesn't have too many ballads, as being the anti-ballad guy. So, All right, so let's see. Brad is saying, I hope you're right about that, Jeremy. Let's talk about that in 2 weeks. Oh, Brad didn't have his glasses on, so he couldn't see anything. Okay. Let's see. What's easier? This is what I had behind me. Last week's was white, and this week's is looks like an SG. So as I was saying, Brad, it's the opposite of Paul Stanley's Iceman. So it goes up, and then here he changed this. Paul Gilbert changed that. See, so this is the same as the Iceman as well. So it's the Iceman is like this, except this is closed down. This is like that. The white one I had last week, the pickups are different. They're humbuckers. So there you go. Yeah, that's one of the only guitars that have a pick guard on, actually, because it came stock. But apparently those are single coils, and they're apparently wound 6 times around, so it gets a humbucker sound out of it. Supposedly, they're really cool. They're passive, but the newer one, the white one that I had out last week, that one has it. They look like almost like P90s, almost, I guess, like mini humbuckers, but they sound really loud. So that's really cool. Let's see. Is John Sykes actually dead? Are there rumors that he's dead? Do you think that's why? Because I've heard a lot of things. I've heard that that he's really difficult to work with and that he procrastinates a lot. So I don't know. I don't know if that solo album will ever come out. The new one, the tracks that they've released sound really cool, but who knows? Who knows? What do you guys think? You guys think John Sykes is dead? Yeah, how long does it take him to release music? Decades. It seemed like he was on a roll there for the longest time, and then I don't know, maybe it was just the pressure of putting out some cool music, coming up with other stuff that was cool. Who knows? Your love is like bad religion. I guess he's Brad. I'm assuming that you're trying to fool with bad medicine. You're like my kids. Instead of singing "Living on a Prayer," they constantly sing Squidward, who's a character from SpongeBob. Squidward on a chair. So it didn't work that well. Okay. Hope it rocks. It definitely does. I did not get this shirt at Sad Hill. There are no merch stands up there. I got this in the mail yesterday, actually. So there you go. I haven't got long left myself. What does that mean, Jeremy? That's That sounds kind of cryptic. Let's see. Okay, so Brad, yes, he was going for the bad medicine reference. And by the way, t-shirt, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's my favorite movie. Sad Hill, got to see where that was shot, where the end scene of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was shot. Was roughly 3 hours away from me. Is 3 hours away from me. A lot of people don't realize this. I had this discussion with Julia Gulia. No, Julia, who was playing in Will Wallner's band when I saw him here in Spain. She went to Almeria, south of Spain, where a lot of the spaghetti westerns were shot. But I can now identify what parts of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly were shot in the province of Burgos, as opposed to shot in the south. And there's a good part of the movie that was shot up north. So after they run into the cavalry, where they end up in the prison camp, the bridge scene, the monastery, and Sad Hill at the end. All those scenes were shot up in Burgos. So they've reclaimed a lot of it. Some of it's gone, but still a cool experience. Hopefully we get out there. But yeah, if you see over my shoulder here, damn it, I'm horrible at this. That's something I got for my birthday. Let me see if I can focus in on that. Can I focus in? Yes, I can focus in on myself. I guess it's kind of grainy. But there's Lemmy in the Western. Ace of Spades with the Lemmy Funko. Some Eddie action here. And behind that is some Triumph. And not the band. So there you go. I guess, see, now I zoomed out and you can see it better. So, well, let's keep it at that. But anyway, yeah, I didn't know about the Almeria stuff myself. Somebody that I worked with said it to me. Oh, my wife's family's from the town where they shot the end sequence. I'm like, they didn't shoot anything in Burgos. What the hell are you talking about? So, so yeah, lo and behold, there was a documentary that's up on Netflix that's called like Finding Sad Hill or something along those lines. And it's how these three people restored Sad Hill to as much as you could restore it. They used the military to actually set that whole thing up. But yeah, so it's a cool documentary, no doubt. And from that, I figured out what parts were in Burgos, because I started to research it, and there's like a whole site that tells you where you could go see the individual things. Some things are kept up as good as possible, and others just aren't. I haven't got anywhere beyond Sad Hill, but okay. Steel Panther, The Darkness, cool or piss takers? I like the album that that The Darkness put out in 2017. I realized it because I was looking for some music that had come out in that year, and I listened to it yesterday. I don't really care for The Darkness beyond that. They've got a few songs here and there that I think that are cool, but not really a lot of it kind of interests me. Steel Panther, I like their first album, but then each album has gotten gradually like worse. There's only so much you can use the same shtick, but whatever. Let's see here. Game on Sunday is actually Sweden, so Johan will probably watch against Spain. We'll see, because the game against Greece the other day, I think I could watch paint dry and it would have been more exciting. So we'll see. Let's hope they turn it on against Sweden. But we'll see. And then about Kun, which is what Jeremy's talking about. Kun Agüero, Sergio Agüero. From the start, they said that it was going to take 3 months of tests and different things to figure out if his arrhythmia is career threatening or not. It's not his the first time that this has happened. So when he was with Atletico de Madrid, he had issues with his heart. And even with Man City, he had issues with his heart. I don't know if that was publicized that much, Jeremy, in Manchester. But apparently the team, Barcelona, has now asked Man City for all of their medical records, which they've turned over to them, so they can figure out what exactly is going on with him. So Inyaki's watching Argentina versus Uruguay. Jose, if Argentina plays Spain, who's rooting for who in your household? It's not as often as like the Piccolo household, where it's Italy, Spain on a quite more frequent basis, and that's cousins of ours who are half Spanish and half Italian. So yeah, Jeremy, I wasn't aware of it either. They started to bring it up now, and the teams are very secretive with injuries. So I believe he went to City when he was like 19, somewhere along those lines, because he got to Spain, I think, at like 17, 18, if I'm not mistaken. And there may have been like another injury, and they didn't bring up the heart condition. Okay, so your kids would pull for Spain, and your wife would be the only one pulling for Argentina. Okay, fair enough. I will say this may not be a popular opinion in your household, but even though Barcelona isn't where they should be, or where a lot of people would like them to be, I should say, I'm happy that Messi isn't on the team. Because there you go. And here's the thing. PSG isn't exactly happy with him not playing the last month, being out injured, and all of a sudden he's going to play 2 games for Argentina. So I don't know that I would have seen, and I don't know that someone like Gavi, for example, would be on the Spanish national team had Messi not have left, because we wouldn't have time to see him. So okay, so Jose is sleeping on the couch tonight. Oh man. This is my question. Has started turmoil in the Connecticut wing of the Ruiz family here. So I apologize for that. So let's stick to asking about tortilla and stuff like that. So we don't get into things like that. Anyway, any other questions left, guys? Got a few minutes left here. Have basketball tomorrow. At least one of my kids is playing. The other one is bummed that he is not playing. But we'll hopefully work that all out soon. Leandro Paredes is another one. Hasn't played with PSG for I don't know how long. Playing for the national team tonight, I believe. So we'll see. Hope Araujo doesn't get re-injured with Uruguay. Was the best defender on Barcelona till he came back injured from the national team last time around. And these guys want to have the World Cup every 2 years. I think they're bonkers. They want to make more money. But yeah, it's kind of weird with their positions because that's one of the things I don't understand. They don't have defined positions yet. Because they're kind of all over the place. I would say, based on body types and how I'm trying to teach them how to play, I would say Roman is more of a forward center, power forward type thing. Whereas Adrian would be more of a guard, just because of his abilities and just the way the two of them play and how and their genetics and how they are physically. I'm trying to teach Roman to be more of a Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason type player. And I would say that I'm trying to get Adrian to be more of like I would say Gary Payton, but we've been putting the hours in on the court to show just to show people. I'm trying to do the fatherly thing and show my kids that when somebody says you can't do something, that you can do it. So just because someone wants to marginalize you or put you aside, well, that's the Dover in you. That's how we used to play games as kids, throwing elbows and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So we have a coach who thinks that that somehow he's coaching in the NBA, but whatever. Ricky Rubio scored 38 points the other day for the Cavs against the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. And Ricky Rubio is an interesting case because he turned pro at 16. So here in Europe, a lot of soccer players or footballers, and for basketball, it's kind of the same thing. You don't go to college. You turn pro because you advance more in your career. Luka Doncic, who's a big deal now in the NBA and is down in the Mavericks, played for Real Madrid here. He signed as a 17-year-old, and he moved to the NBA again when he was 19. Ricky was kind of the same deal, drafted by the Timberwolves, and he's floated from team to team. He's been on the Timberwolves twice. He's been on the Jazz. He's been on the Suns. He's now at the Cavs. With the Cavs, he was supposed to be a backup, but their starting point guard got injured the other day against the Knicks. He came in and was 8 of 9 from 3-point range, and he scored 38 overall. Helped them beat the Knicks. He got a triple-double, if I'm not mistaken. He's unfortunately with the national team. He came up at the right time when there was a great nucleus of players with the Gasol brothers and with Serge Ibaka, who plays for the Clippers. Garbajosa, who was with the Raptors before that, who's now the national team selector. They were a great nucleus. It's funny because the soccer team and the basketball team kind of peaked around the same time, but the basketball team has been able to maintain it longer. Now, with a lot of people retiring, they're going to have a harder time making things stick because they had players that were capable to stay in the NBA as starters. Most of them are backups, if that. You've got 2 other brothers, one that's in Boston and one that's in plays for the Pelicans. I forget their last name. I think it's Hernandez Gutierrez. It's with a hyphen. Hernandez Gutierrez. I think that's their last names. But I try to watch the ACB, which is the Spanish league, and I try to watch the Euro League, which is, for those that don't know, it's teams from all over Europe that it's kind of the equivalent of the NBA, if you really think of it, because U.S. is kind of the size of Europe, and they've got teams from all over Europe there. Now, the NBA is trying to come over here and do their European branch. Of course, a lot of teams that have been around for like 80 years are pissed off because they don't know if they want to take their business away, or if they want to integrate some of these teams into the NBA and then make something where they have like almost like a tournament between Hernan Gomez. There you go. So I got the H and the G right, but little else. I mean, that could be it. But yeah. My kids, we tried out with soccer, and the environment was just too toxic. From the age that they were 4, they wanted them to do set plays and stuff. And I'm like, they should be just playing and trying to have fun, and then decide if it's going to be more, if it's going to be more intense after. My oldest is 10 now, and we've kind of reached that in basketball where they've started to separate the good from the bad. It's kind of dumb because when I grew up, it was you had 2 coaches, and it was like being on the playground. You each picked players, so the teams were like evened out. It wasn't the so-called superstars on one team with Bobby Knight coaching, and then and we were told, try basketball out. It's a better environment, and we've agreed. So we'll see. My oldest got moved to a different team, the supposed B team, and now we're having issues with that team starting up. They were supposed to play tomorrow, but they had not enough kids have scheduled their physicals yet, so they're not allowed to play. So 3 weeks where he's missed out since being moved over to the other team. But I told him it's a good opportunity, good way to hone your skills and get better. And if they come calling, if you want to go back, you can. But if not, you can be a big fish in a small pond. So he needs to get faster. It's his problem is he's too slow, and he doesn't have the hunger or the want to drive to the hoop yet. We're getting there. He's scared of hurting people, except if he's playing against his brother. So that's when the elbows come out, Jose. So I saw plenty of that this evening. But glad to hear that your kids are playing basketball as well. That's cool. So who knows? Maybe we could have an all Ruiz team at some point. But yeah, Rob, breaking out some sports. Absolutely. I wish. Yeah, well, you you have the confidence with your brother to go after them. You're not as scared as with other people, I guess. But yeah, I love I love a lot of the sports from back home. Hockey's my favorite. I used to keep up. I can't since I had the kids. Just games start too late. A lot of times when I go to sleep, games are starting up around this time, and I'll listen to it on my phone as I fall asleep. Or now I've, a lot of teams have started putting highlights up on YouTube, so I'll watch that, and that's always great fun. So, in any event, we're almost at the 90-minute mark here. I do want to thank everyone who's here live: Jose, Brad, Jeremy, Rob, Paula. I'm sure there are a few others that haven't chimed in. Maybe CEO Dave is out there. We just don't know it. Want to thank all of you guys, whether you're watching this live, whether you're listening on Mixcloud Live, whether yikes, the Blackhawks are a total mess right now. Front, the team behind the scenes and so on and so forth. So hopefully I can turn all that around. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for submitting questions. It's fun. This has been great once again. Again, I gotta figure out how to do these. Maybe we'll do 1 month we do Ask the Host, 1 month we do the Patreon get together. We'll see how that goes. So anyway, thank you again for deciding to spend your time with me today. Thank you, Paula. Thank you for, again, you could be doing anything else, but you're deciding to spend time listening to this or watching this, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. The episode with Brad should be posted no later than Monday with Jeremy's Patrons Pick. Should be awesome. And we'll see you next time right here on the Signals from Mars live stream. Go to MarsAttacksRadio.com to keep up with everything that's going on. For the patrons, you guys know about some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. We'll have more on that soon. Guys, have a great one. I will see you next time right here on the Signals from Mars live stream.